And welcome back. Thank you for watching Punchline. Moses Kuria in the ring tonight. Moses, do you support the Deputy President's candidature in 2022?
No, because I believe I'll be on the ballot.
You're serious about running, are you?
Yes, I am. And the fact that I don't trumpet that every day is because I'm busy working for my people.
Okay.
Yeah, and I believe time will come. That does not make me less of a candidate or less of a serious candidate.
Do you intend, so you don't intend to run on a Jubilee ticket, do you?
No, not at all.
You've talked about forming a new party,
No, not at all. I'm very clear on that. I'm going to be in Jubilee up to 2022.
But you recently told area residents that, they cannot be, you were using the analogy of marriage, and you talked about, if you're going to marry a bride, you can't be in the bride's vehicle, you've got to go with your own car, and that they should wait for you to give them direction.
I said that in vernacular. I'm surprised you picked that up. But having said that...
now that I did pick it up.
Now that you did pick it up.
Yes, that's what you were saying. You said you're going to form your own party.
No, precisely because...
so not Jubilee?
Not Jubilee. Not Jubilee. Certainly for me, not Jubilee, because I believe Jubilee is under capture.
By whom?
By what I would call centrifugal and centripetal forces of Kieleweke and Tangatanga. Okay. And it's going to be a bloodbath in Jubilee. It's going to be vicious. It's going to be the night of long lives in Jubilee.
And
I don't want to be part of that. I would rather save my energy for other things. Because even look at Kibra, for crying out loud. Do you believe McDonald Maliga is a Jubilee candidate? In the true sense of a unified...
I'm giving him the camp and the go-ahead.
We can discuss about that, yeah? I'm still waiting for the video and the...
If he's not a Jubilee candidate, whose candidate is he?
You know very well. You know more than me. We have got two factions within Jubilee. Very sad eventuality for people like me, who was in PNU, even NAC before that, PNU, TNA, then Jubilee, and seeing what,
But didn't the president dispel those rumors when he stood, you had him over at State House alongside the deputy president, put the cap on him himself? That was his endorsement, wasn't it?
Maybe. The president is not Jubilee either. He's a leader of Jubilee. He's not Jubilee.
So you're not going to run on Jubilee. Where are you with plans for your own party?
Well, I think for the time being, I am card-holding member of Jubilee. So until that time comes, you'll be the first one to know. But having said that, let's come to the marriage analogy. With what context was I saying that? When I see Mount Kenya MPs parrot, competing to parrot, competing to parrot on who is more loyal to this faction or that faction or this candidate. And then I said, wait a minute, somebody has to take a chill pill. Yeah? And that's why I stopped going for all those rallies and everything, because I asked myself, fine, it's okay, I'll parrot and say so-and-so, 2022, Niwewe. But what about our region with our 6 million votes? What are we getting? Even today, and that's why I find those people who are forming those campings and groupings, they are preferring to work with people who can not have the power of critical questioning, critical analysis. As long as it is little programming, then they go and say, Tagatanga, Kieleweke, you are the one, 2022, it's you. I ask myself, do these people know where we have come from as a region? Do they know even to have the kind of government we have today?
The region short is what you're saying?
Yeah, absolutely.
Following the deputy president around.
Not just deputy president, even the other side of things. Okay. But certainly speaking, I am very sad.
Okay.
I'm very saddened by what is happening. When I see in parliament, it has become, if you are neutral like I am, it's even an inhospitable place. It's an inhospitable place. The kind of animosity that we have within parliament especially.
Did Raila bring all this about? Is the handshake the sole
Certainly, problem? Yes, to some extent. But also, I think it's also another major problem. Some people are investors in chaos.
Investors in chaos?
Yes, they can only survive and thrive where there's chaos, division, polarization. And so therefore, any attempt at healing the fissures, the societal features of this country, is actually a threat on people's lives.
Which people are those?
I don't want to name names. I don't want to name names, but I just...
When did you become so cautious, Moses?
Well, when everybody became...
And call it as it was.
When everybody became mad
When everyone else became mad.
Yeah, so...
Okay, did you go first anyway?
No.
I'm just teasing.
No,
but having said that, you know, because you've talked about the fragmentation in Jubilee, and you said it's going to be a bloodbath. You know, the deputy president referred to, you know, the elections, the upcoming party elections. Are they in sometime next year?
Yeah, in March.
In March.
I will not participate, just for record.
You will not participate?
No.
Do you think that's where the bloodletting begins?
Well, because I just think it's just cosmetic. It is dealing with the symptoms, not the... Because we have got two competing forces in this country. Jubilee as a force, as a product, and Kenya as a product. I think the president's mindset, from what I think, or maybe from the man I know, is more of Project Kenya. But everybody else in Jubilee, or most of the other leaders in Jubilee, are on Project Jubilee.
Including
and
the
to some
deputy
extent,
president.
yeah?
Including the deputy president.
Sadly, yes. And there's some lack of convergence. Yeah? There's some divergence between those two products at times. Most of the time, they are the same.
Can it be healed? You talked about fissures. Can the rift be healed? Is it, you know, has Jubilee reached its sell-by date? Can the president and the deputy president still find a way to agreement? I think
the first thing to do, number one, is to agree that we can't continue fighting in this country forever. It's not about the president and the deputy president. That is a big elephant in the room. And you know, from like where I come from, the people of my region are business people. They have got businesses in Busia. I got to Tok. I moved all over the country campaigning. And for me, it was an awakening, whereby I see our people are everywhere. Can we continue investing in chaos and division? But for some people, chaos and division are ingredients of success, political success. So we are that
Those are comments that Jubilee has often used when described, well, it was at odds with the former prime minister. They often called him somebody who sows chaos. Indeed, this is the language that the deputy president's supporters used when, you know, just shortly after the handshake, that he was going to divide Jubilee the same way he has been accustomed to dividing other parties. Those are the allegations.
Let me assume that the former prime minister wanted to divide Jubilee. In that division, the biggest ammunition has been given by us, very Jubilee members. Because the minute, you know what is shocking me, Anne? The former prime minister has made so many enforced errors in his career than anybody else I can imagine. He has made so many mistakes. He managed to extract defeat from the vicious jaws of victory in the past. Now, some of my colleagues in Jubilee are doing exactly, in fact, the former prime minister is doing the opposite, and they're doing exactly that. They are making so many blunders. They are making so many enforced errors. Because what we should have done, honestly speaking, the president means it when he talks about uniting this country. And even me. Do I want to continue running insult battles and all that for the rest of my life? And then I bequeath that to my children? I am very personal, and even if it's losing my career or my seat or whatever I want, I am with the president on the issue of unity. Okay.
Yeah? We'll talk about that later. Do you support BBI? I know you presented your...
Yes, I did.
Your proposal.
Anyone, and I say even the devil, who want to unite this country and ask, why did we get it wrong? People confuse BBI. BBI is not constitutional change. Constitutional change has got very well demarcated lines.
We've seen Raila Odinga talking about a referendum. It's coming.
In fact, I wanted to look for him. Iko so he can give me, when I was at the university, I used to have something called Amwa Kenya, which was a document to leakage or something. See, he should give it to me. So, because me, I've got two people I want to look at in the eye. So William Ruto says, we are going to reject BBI. Say, go on, you know what he's going to say? Raila Odinga says, mpende musipende, referendum this year, we are going to have a parliamentary system, we are going to have a prime minister. What about the rest of us? That's why I think even these two guys are just taking us for a ride. As we are patiently waiting for the baby to be born.
And then to decide.
Yeah.
But you have talked about supporting an expanded executive.
Yes, I do.
Yet at the same time, you said on July 12th that winners belong to government, losers belong to the opposition.
And those two things are not mutually exclusive. Anne.
How so?
Because in my version of constitutional change, if you lose, you go to the opposition. If you win, you form government. But if you win, we are going to create a situation whereby you don't win in a way that is not inclusive. So for example, in my way of looking at things, the president, the deputy president, the prime minister, and the two prime ministers are going to start together as one ticket. And their names will be on the ballot. So you have to unajificha hapo nyuma, and then you chomoka. Yeah? So those 5 positions, whereby not more than one will be from the same ethnic community. So that you may not include all the 42 tribes of this country, but you have to make the best effort to be able to be inclusive.
And how do you arrive at that? Through a referendum?
No, that we can even do through parliament. We can do through parliament, and I've told PBI, I told PBI, I went to Kiambu, I told PBI, bring it tomorrow, we finish it in parliament. Today, I'm a Kikuyu. In a political formation called NASA, I am not represented, or ODM. Aluya is not necessarily represented in Jubilee. In government, in the future, I need to be represented. In the opposition, I need to be represented. Yeah? So that that is one way of making sure that we don't have to make elections live and death, because I needed a visa. I was campaigning in Western Kenya. It's like I needed a visa during 2017.
But you know, the proponents of this argument of, you know, get the face of Kenya there, obviously you're not going to get all 44
not
faces
all, but you make
of Kenya there, right?
80% of this country is in 5 communities.
Fair enough, but how is inclusivity really served for Wanjiku purely by having more politicians earning salaries in government? Because once they are in those government positions, they're not expected to sit there as the communities that they come from. They're supposed to sit there as national figures.
You know, and when I talk about 5 positions, 2 are already taken, 2 are already there. So there's no incremental thing. The position of president is there and deputy president. So tell me that increasing is about the 3 position extra, which I'm saying if that is a small price to pay, for us to,
but what about
for the perception?
Once you sit there, you don't sit there as the Kikuyu deputy prime minister.
Can I tell the truth? Can I tell the truth? No value. But that's what Kenyans want. Absolutely, you're right. 0 value.
Even so why would you push for something that you know will not work?
Because it will make Kenyans feel good. And feeling good is important for this country.
Isn't that
it is not about
as a leader, Moses? Aren't you? Isn't your position as an elected leader to come up with actual solutions that work, not feel good short-term measures that you know don't work?
Most of the communities in this country, until they look up there, naone mmoja wao, one of them, they will still feel they are marginalized.
So it's Kenyan.
So let me ask you, and you know we can be self-righteous about this as much as we want, but
which is the self-righteous element?
The self-righteous of saying
as an elected leader, you should come out with actual solutions.
Life is not perfect, my friend. Life is not perfect.
What were you elected for?
Yeah? Life is not perfect.
You elected to solve problems
We have to live within the realities of our times. And by the way, we are not going to manufacture new people. We are not going to manufacture new electorate. It's the same people that we have today. When I went, one day I had this same argument like you in Kakamega Golf Hotel with a member for Shinyaru before he was elected. I was campaigning there, and I asked him, why are you so hostile against my party, Jubilee Party? Oh, he said, no, because it's not our party, because it is your party, and it is your government. I said, but you are a leader. He said, I may have different views, but these people here perceive that this is not their government, this is not their party. And by the way, you are doing the wrong thing. You are coming to look for votes in their territory. Yeah? So we can.
I suppose, Moses, I'm asking about, you know, where the solution will start, because we continuously say that this is how Kenya is. We're just this, but nobody is proposing, and sadly, elected leaders like yourself, who should be in the position to say this is how we bring about real inclusivity. If you know for a fact that having leaders from different communities will not do it, why aren't we seeing you putting your efforts there?
Can I tell something? In 2010, we had devolution. And I've heard this argument that devolution is the answer for inclusivity. Because every region has got their governor. You should have now imagined that by now, close to 10 years down the line, with 47 devolved units, everybody feels inclusive. So clearly, there is a question that keeps holding Kenya back, this economy back.
And it's tribalism?
Yeah, and every 5 years, you look at that spike, and the drop, and the spike, and the drop. We grow by 5%. Now wait for next year. This year we grow by 5 points. Next year we'll grow at 5 points. Yeah, that is 2020. 2021 will grow maybe at 5 points. 22.
So the solution is solution is what?
It is not one solution, Anne. It is not one metal jacket that fits everyone. We have to do a myriad of things, a mixture of many things, such as even that expansion of the executive, if it is going to contribute not 100%, but maybe 30%, maybe 40%.
What else?
As leaders, changing our operating system, changing ourselves, which is another problem. Some people have said, and I agree with them totally agree with them. As long as you have got people who blame lack of inclusivity when they lose elections, and I totally agree with that also. Kidogo, maybe 25%. So you look at all the contributors to the so-called lack of a cohesive, stable society. People who don't accept election results, agreed. People who say that when they lose, it's their communities which have lost, which are not in government, agreed. People who change constitution every time to suit themselves, agreed. But also, people who think that by expanding, it is your meat I am spoiling, they are also equally guilty.
You recently said that the Senate Majority Leader, Kipchumba Murkomen, should resign or be removed for ethnicizing the Aurora and Kimorer Dam report. Given your own history of making very troublesome remarks, is that not the height of hypocrisy?
Well, Kipchumba Murkomen has broken his arm, so let me not answer that one.
You can answer about your hypocrisy of demanding a certain standard of another leader, one that you have failed to meet yourself.
You know, my problem with Kipchumba Murkomen was not about Kimorer and Aurora, but he said that the people who were in that committee were Kikuyus.
Correct.
Yes, and I'm a Kikuyu. So I felt insulted as well, as a Kikuyu.
And you said that he should be removed
yeah,
for that reason?
Because he has a lofty position. I'm not a leader of
You have
majority.
A lofty position. You're an elected member of parliament. You sit in some of the most powerful committees of parliament.
Kipchumba Murkomen represents the entire Jubilee, including Kikuyus. And by his statement, I felt he's not representing Kikuyus. And I thought there's nothing wrong with him representing people of where he came from. Because he chose to be a leader from Elgeyo Marakwet before realizing he's also the leader of majority in the Senate. He is the #2 guy in the National Senate. I wish I were.
But you're going for the #1 job, and you have made equally, some would say even more disturbing remarks, some that have taken you to court, some that have forced you to apologize incessantly. So shouldn't Kenyans be even that more worried of a person like you, for instance, having such high power?
Let me tell you something. I've had 4 cases in court. 75% of them acquitted. That's a sterling record. That is a record.
But you've also said the things that you've said, which I cannot mention on this program.
Maybe they are against your clan or religion or your chama, but they're not necessarily wrong. You may not like it, but you know, they're not necessarily wrong. Or criminal, or liberals. No.
Well, we will see, as you still have, I believe, a pending matter.
Yes.
In court.
Yes.
You have also been seen to associate rather closely with the with Team Wanjiko, whose membership has been called sketchy at best. Why? Because of the different backgrounds or checkered pasts of some of these key leaders. When people look at this group coalescing together, yourself with some of the comments you've said, and you've defended yourself as you have the former leader of the Mungiki Mainanjenga there. You have
Mainanjenga is not a member of Team Wanjiko.
Okay, well, he has been standing at those
rallies. He appears in Team Wanjiko meetings.
All right. Okay.
But he's not a member of... I'm not saying there's anything wrong for him if he would appear
likes
there.
Hanging out.
Yeah, I
you
am
have
not a
the
judge.
Nairobi governor, who himself has an equally checkered past with criminality.
You know, people cannot be what you want them to be, Anne. You cannot draw a caricature of what a leader is. And by the if you do draw that, then everybody in this country will be living in Karen or Langata.
We're talking about... Hold on.
Wait a minute.
We're talking about the
I said this about Governor Sonko because out of so the
that if you want people to have you want certain standards. You
no,
talk about
you want everybody to be. Yes, and the people who think like you. You want everybody to be a street jackets, you know, street tie guy, and you know whatever you call cool guys. Unfortunately.
On the contrary, we're talking about values, not what people wear.
No. Which values? You cannot be a judge of values. Even you guys in the media, you cannot be a judge of values. So you think the people of Nairobi were stupid to elect Mike Sonko as their governor?
That's not for me to say.
Yeah, exactly. So you think the people of Gatundu South, who voted for me with 93% of the votes, you think they are crazy? Or you think you are more intelligent than them?
I'm simply asking
No, wait a minute. So you think they were hypnotized or they were under some medication, some drug that made them not see that the MP is a crook or has no values? Who is this so-called, who has got this valuemeter in this country? But when we now abandon our people of the slums, our hawkers, our Juakali guys. Yeah? And when some people go there and we say, look, me, I want to be truthful to that woman in Nyamakema who is leaving the house every day. I want to associate myself with her values. Of course, our values stink.
Let me ask you this. There's a leadership and integrity chapter in the Constitution.
Yeah.
That requires leaders to be, neutered though it is now, it required leaders to be of a certain caliber.
Dressing according to you, and grooming of the hair.
Surely you're being quite unruly. It required leaders to uphold certain values, certain standards. This is not Anne saying, this is not the station saying,
who is it?
This is the Constitution,
yes.
the Constitution of Kenya.
Yes.
I'm simply asking, do you believe that the leadership of Team Wanjiku matches that standard? You can say yes, you can say no.
Of course it does, but of course to the fish fingers and Uber types like you will never see it that way. You know, but anyway, yes, we do fit into that whatever.
So you have, for instance, you've made apologies in the past about
you've never apologized, I'm sure.
Would you let me ask my question? Would you let me ask my question? You've made apologies and concessions in the past that perhaps some of the things you said were not the right things to say.
For example?
There are things that unfortunately I cannot mention on this program.
You see, me, I follow my conscience, Anne. Eh?
My point being...
And my conscience is my boss, yeah? As a human being, as a leader, and as a Christian. My conscience is my boss. Should I feel even now, after this show, that maybe I shouldn't have answered that question that way, and I feel I need to call you, I'll apologize. I'm man enough to do that. Yeah? This country is... The problem in this country is people who do not apologize. People who don't have a post-event meeting with their conscience, yeah, and ask themselves, is that the way I should have said something? That's the most. I'm human, and I make mistakes.
So it's fair to conclude that, Matt. It's fair to say that perhaps these leaders have also made mistakes, and
all of us have.
Okay. Okay, fair enough.
Have seen
but not all of us are
and fallen short of the glory of God. Okay?
That's true, but not all of us are running for public office or for the presidency.
Yes.
And so they're held to a higher standard.
Yes, and for those who do not sin, let them cast the first stone.
Do you believe you should be held to a higher standard now that you're running for the top seat?
Absolutely, yes.
Okay.
Yeah, absolutely, I should be. But that higher standard is not the standard of some people who think people should be of a certain prototype. People of Korogocho and people of Kiandutu in Dika also have got their own higher standard. It's not just current people and Mudaika and no, because not that, because when people talk about values and quality of leaders in this country, they have got a certain assumption at the back of their mind that this so-called coolness, it is what is going to drive this country forward.
So what?
Coolness.
Coolness.
Yeah. People of this country are not going to eat coolness.
But we're not talking about Kuria Moses.
Nobody is going to eat coolness. People want real solutions.
And that's true, but nobody talked about being cool. We talked about, you know, how do you refer
to the nation? When we talk about, for example, my colleague Sonko, just show me one area where Sonko has lacked values. What makes you think that Sonko would lack values?
I didn't say he lacks values. I said he has a checkered past with criminality, which I think he said himself.
Well, does that mean that he's not qualified to be governor of Nairobi?
I'm asking a question. Yeah? I'm not here to answer them. I'm
then,
just here to ask them, and you've said your piece.
We need to
let's move on.
We need to put all Nairobi voters to a psychiatric test in that case.
I think they do that to themselves on Twitter every so often. I'm sure you've seen the timelines.
Oh, Nairobi is a lot on Twitter. Somehow. Twitter is a pastime for lazy types of this country. But
fair enough. Let's quickly talk about the economy, which you've talked about, and you've spoken passionately about disenfranchised segments of our society, people who are struggling. But because you're a Jubilee member, do you think there's a notion right now that of all the things that Jubilee has possibly gotten wrong over the last few years, that economy has been a real failure? They haven't created the jobs that were promised, 1-point-something million every year. Do you share similar views?
I am disappointed with my party, Jubilee, as far as the economy is concerned, you know. We have this tendency of blaming people when they are out of office. But in this case, I'm not happy, and I've been saying this for 5 years that I've been member of the budget committee. We seem to think that all our solutions can be solved by money, through budget. Yet, the bigger chunk of our problems can be solved by policy. When you allow people to trade,
By policy.
By policy. That's what we have, a huge policy failure. And I've been talking to the new CS for Treasury, who is
what, for instance, has failed for you in policy?
Look at this issue of small scale traders. Look at the issue of just the harassment. Look at the issue of coffee. Look at the issue of tea. It's not really budget, or it's not a fiscal involvement, right, yeah, or intervention that is required. It is really a policy thing. Say deliberately, this is how I'm going to grow this particular sector. Even the manufacturing, and I've been having very healthy discussions with the CS Munya to look at, there's no way government can put money for manufacturing. No way. But government can aggressively push those policies that are going to ensure that we do manufacturing. In Bangladesh, and 5 million people work in the textile sector. And that is for the American market, mostly they are Goa and all that kind of thing. Imagine if you had just 5 million Kenyans working in the textile sector. And there's no special qualification or education required to do that. We would kick poverty out of this country. Unfortunately, I think I can finish this, I can turn around this economy in 2 years. Unfortunately,
we're running out of time, and I need to give you time for your punchline as well. But I do want us, and I would ask that you focus on the economy, because you have said in the past that President Kenyatta needs to go back to the Treasury and see how he ran it while he was the cabinet secretary and what is going on there now. Do you think he sort of ignored the economy, let other people run away with it?
I don't want to say that exactly, but our preoccupation with debt and our failure to control our expenditure and our general preoccupation with fiscal as opposed to the policy side of things. By the way, the monetary side is working very well. I have to give it to the governor of Central Bank. The monetary side is working very well. Barring the issue of the capping of interest rates, which we thought would have good impact, but of course, it has come to haunt our people.
How do we fix it? How do we fix it now?
The interest rates issue?
No, the economy.
First of all, on that interest rates issue, the SMEs are not accessing credit. So this is my passionate prayer to the President. Please return to Parliament that clause for the interest rate capping. Yeah? If we really believe in it, let us raise the 2/3. Okay. Do not fear what people are going to say about you, because it is one factor that is going to unlock this economy by very far. Number two, let's look at this a bottoms-up approach to the economy, because all the other solutions we're having are top-down. Let's work with our hawkers. Let's work on sectors that can be able to create jobs. We can do it, and we will do it if there's goodwill within the remaining term of the President.
And your punchline?
My punchline is really on Kenyans, especially politicians. Right. What we are living through is unhealthy.
It's unhealthy?
It's unhealthy. This division is unhealthy. And please, God has saved us twice before as a country. I am not sure God will give us a third chance as a country. If we go to 2022 divided as we are, God will not give us a third chance.
Wow. Moses Kuria, thank you so much. We could talk all day, but there we are. And thank you for watching Punchline. I'm Ann Kiguta, another episode next Sunday. But for now, good night. God bless. God save us. Bye-bye.